Hey, how's it going, folks? It's Abdullah,
And Bean.
and welcome back for another episode of Moments in Weed, our companion series to great moments in weed history that is exclusively for our supporters on Patreon. We love you guys. Thank you so much for all your support and helping us continue to strive as an independent force in the world of cannabis media. Bean, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well, man. This is, as we keep saying, my favorite time of the week right now. I got a nice little mini J ready to go. This is like a moment-sized J, I would say, for a moment in weed. It's my first of the day. I'm gonna light it up right now. If you'll join me, I don't want to wait.
I've got several moments packed up into this bowl here. It's a lot deeper than it looks. Corners, always corners.
Good etiquette. And of course, we invite you, our beloved Patreon sponsors, to join us. You can hit pause, but honestly, I'm going to be smoking this the whole time, so you could just catch up. There's going to be time.
There'll be plenty of time.
As far as our moment in weed today, I decided, we're not editing this, so there's no second takes.
So you guys just got a little behind the scenes of we do repeated takes. Look, we are very stoned people who do a podcast. There's a lot of like, if I may do an impression of Bean taking a line over again, he'll be like, so actually in 18, so actually in 19, whatever. You know, not that I'm saying he's ever off by a century when giving dates on this show, but you guys get to see a little behind the scenes there.
As you are our most dedicated and beloved listeners know, I'm not all tied up into history being based on facts and stuff. I just make it up. That's what everybody does. Why should I be tied to things like verified sources these days? It's just, I think we've been out about 5 years. I don't think anyone, contact us if you smoked weed more than 5 years ago, but I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. We're making just about all this shit up. Bob Dylan and the Beatles never smoked weed together. I don't know why you guys believe that. Frankly, that's not, no, I'm kidding.
And the other thing I will just say too is like, you know what you're not getting a lot of in the main show? So anyway, let me tell you this. And I listen to podcasts and I'm like, I know you have a lot more money than us. Why am I the only one in there? And this is, everyone does it. If you do not open your mouth for a specific period of time, you will make that very annoying sound. And dear listeners, know that a decent portion of your Patreon money goes to me feeling dedicated enough to take all those out. So here's one more. Anyway, for our moment in weed today, let's make this a true companion because we're going to drop an episode tomorrow that deals head on with this issue of equity in cannabis with somebody who has been literally at the forefront of that fight on our side, obviously. And I'm seeing an article today from the Arizona Republic that there is a lawsuit in the state of Arizona to, in essence, put a halt on the equity program there to stop it from being gamed by large companies. So this is something we've seen in various different states that try to implement a social equity program. It ends up getting subverted by the very forces of capitalism it's supposed to put a bulwark against.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we've seen this in many states where as soon as cannabis is legalized, there is a huge rush by all these very moneyed parties to take over, to game the system a little bit, right? And here in California, I reported on this for KCRW, where there's people who are moneyed who will get somebody who qualifies for social equity, right? And say, okay, you're a silent partner in our company, and essentially use that person's status as a marginalized person to, get into the system, get into the license game, right? So there's a lot of malfeasance that goes on, and any state that recognizes this and stops the whole process is doing the right thing, right? Because it's like you really have to take stock. Here in California, they basically shut down most of the minority-owned dispensaries because they weren't quote unquote grandfathered in. And it just so happened that the new people getting licenses were all partnered with, a bunch of money bagses, right? And that's not the cannabis world we want to see. For you, the consumer, the most important aspect of this should be that the weed is not as good. When cheese dicks are the ones like creating the company, the weed will suck. They don't know what good weed is, right? They don't know how to sell it. They don't know how to store it, etc. So I'm glad they're, they are pulling the plug for a minute over there.
And now that is no shade against the cheese dick strain cross of UK cheese and Upper Cali dickhead.
Dick strain.
Yeah, cheese dick is a great strain. He's talking about cheese dick, the type of person. And the other thing is, a little off this topic, but one of the big, huge cannabis sort of multi-state, probably multinational, giant corporate plays. They just laid off their top executives because, or fired them because they're losing money selling weed. First of all, I know a lot of people who've sold weed up to and including maybe, you should make money selling weed.
Yeah.
If you lose hundreds of millions of dollars selling weed, but of course they got these golden parachutes where these fuckers who tried to corner the market on weed, be a big corporate play, lost shitloads of money. They get multi-million-dollar payouts on their way out the door. I've been laid off from a million jobs. I have literally never gotten a cent of anything.
I know, right? How the fuck did they get these parachutes? Like that, I've definitely been fired, been laid off numerous times in my life, and beyond the government check that you get for unemployment, there's nothing. When you're getting fired, it's because they're like, okay, we don't need you anymore. Usually that means that they don't want to be spending money on something they don't need. So it's ridiculous that they'll pay you like 10 years CEO salary when leaving the company. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
And you're the one that fucked up.
Yeah.
I've never been in charge of anything I got fired from. The only thing I've personally been half in charge of is this. And I don't think we're getting fired anytime soon. But for this law to dial in on this lawsuit and how this works, this gaming of the system, this is a story in Arizona. One of the plaintiffs in this lawsuit against the state is basically saying that what happens is equity applicants apply for these 26 dispensary licenses in this program, but they will often be backed by somebody who is just a cheese dick. And then this law allows you, once you get the license, to then sell it to a cheese dick. So it's basically this idea of a straw man or a straw woman or a straw non-binary person. And this quote really comes, this is Celestia Rodriguez, one of the plaintiffs in this lawsuit. She's saying, the reason I'm suing, my true intention is to make sure these 26 licenses stay with true social equity licensees, as well as reinvest in and revitalize these neighborhoods that have been disproportionately affected. So she's saying, I qualify as a social equity applicant and I want to apply, but I'm still going to sue to stop this because it's not fair and because the economic incentive is going to be to just sell to a cheese dick.
Yeah, I think we see this type of stuff all the time when it comes to politics and capitalism, right? Like, for example, like low-income housing, right? That's subsidized for low-income qualifiers to own. Very often, they know that a certain amount of those people are going to default on their payments and that they're basically going to lose their mortgages. And then cronies of the city government will be like, okay, we're going to now sell this like way below market price to one of our buddies. And then they'll resell it back onto the normal market. And suddenly it's not low income subsidized housing anymore, right? You got to say that you were going to do it and you got to buy a house under market value and make a bunch of money and you got to gentrify a neighborhood. I mean, these are really the types of tactics that we're talking about here. in Los Angeles, right, there were hundreds of dispensaries under Prop 215, right? And the rules specifically were designed to shut down all that competition and then bring in new people who are going to qualify for an SEP, right? So a social equity program license, right? And then those people are like, wait, but I don't know what to do. I've never run this type of business before, right? But I do qualify for this license. And then someone knocks at the door and they're like, hello, it's me, like Reginald Featherbottom. And I'm here to guide you through the mad world of dispensary license ownership, right? And basically what they're going to do is make this person a silent partner and they're going to run a swindle, right? And again, these guys do not know what good weed is. You want people who understand cannabis to be running these businesses, right? So in Arizona, what's their like plan of action? Like what happens next? Is it just going to be another shit show?
Well, that we'll have to see what happens. This lawsuit was just filed, so it becomes, in essence, will the courts take action to halt the program before people get licenses? And this system that you describe, and I just say, I'll post in the notes. I'm pointing down on Patreon a link to your reporting on KCRW in Los Angeles, because it's very much the same shell game. And the other thing that just occurs to me, if you really want to understand capitalism, it's people thinking about how to fuck everyone else over 3 times as much as we think about weed. So that's why they win. It's a system called capitalism where they have capital, and they're 3 times as obsessed with coming up with these mustache twisting schemes as we are. We have other interests. Film.
Exactly. Yeah, I like mid-90s British electronic music, and I'm not ashamed of that. Of being a dork.
Yes. So they're just money dorks and cheese dicks. But what really made me pick this article for today is just to bring it back to tomorrow. We're going to have a new episode of Great Moments in Weed History, one that I know we're both really proud of, and with somebody who has taken on this issue and shown that we can create truly equitable systems in cannabis, and that this is the fight of now. If you're sort of new to cannabis, or you're sort of new to this movement, and you feel like, oh man, I jumped on the winning team in the 4th quarter and we're way ahead and that's great, but where's my fight? This is it. This is the fight of now. Yes. And we all bear a big responsibility to be a part of it.
Yes, and this is the moment. All right, I'm going to say another thing that I've been saying for many years. Bean, you've heard me say this many times. I've said it in an article in 2012, and I've been cursed to repeat it ever since. And I think it applies here. Do not trust the same authorities that so unjustly prohibited cannabis to now justly regulate it, okay? It's the same people. It's the same cops. They don't smoke weed. They're not like us. But we're just going to try to push them in the right direction, right? And keep that healthy cynicism when it comes to state, any sort of government regulation, because these are not weed people like you are.
And check our socials for the memified version of things we've been saying forever, because
that's a good idea.
My inner meme lord just kicked up, and I feel like we'll put that one together for y'all. And my only question is, how were you writing about weed in 2012 when it's only 5 years old as a phenomenon?
Yeah, I know. And actually, I want to just real quick shout out your meme lordness. The memes have been fantastic. Bean has somehow like embodied like the meme abilities of like a 14-year-old, who are like, they shoot memes out like that. And somehow it's encrusted with all of our pro-cannabis propaganda just in the smartest way. So I just want to shout you out for that, Bean. This shit is great.
Blessings. And that's all at GMIWH podcast on all the things that are appropriate to our age. We're not on TikTok.
All of those things.
All right, one more moment in weed together.
one more moment in weed,
Oh.
and then I'll show you a cool thing. What's that?
Oh yeah, it's a fucking cool thing. Oh, and of course, happy Thanksgiving to everyone, which is getting high with your friends and eating Thanksgiving leftovers with no colonialist overtones.
Shout out the snowy deck and that 15 minutes after dinner and before the family movie when you and your cousin are gonna go out and leave evidence in the form of shoe prints in the snow and ashes on top of it. Which we've all seen.
That's that's an opening scene of the first stoner Thanksgiving movie. Let me light one up for one cool thing.
And speaking of cannabis adversaries, I want to shout out this air purifier because every time I start smoking weed, it starts going. I really hope it's not in the recording, but somehow, you know what? A little behind the scenes. I am always the guy with the audio issues. There's always an AC or an air purifier or something. These machines just follow me around. So if you're hearing that, know that I hate it more than you could ever hate it.
I think you've just made your air purifier into a head. It's like, oh shit, yeah, that's that good. He's smoking that cheese dick.
Yeah. And this fucker only takes shotguns from me. So, you know, it's basically my mistress, this air purifier. I'm like, come here, baby, take another hit of this, my secondhand smoke. And dude, that thing, like the light turns red whenever it's, you know, mad that I'm smoking or whatever, but it's just getting to smoke weed. All right, enough about this fucking air purifier. Let's get into a cool thing. So I'm wearing a t-shirt that is a very cool thing, which was a gift from Bean and Stock. That I really love, but I'm not gonna lower my camera because I want to save this for another time. I have something different for this time. And this thing is a little bit more functional. Now, I've had it for years. I don't know if Hemper is the only company that makes this thing, but Hemper is like one of many companies that do like a weed birch box, right? Which I don't know how these companies are in business, but apparently millions of people want like hemp wick and papers every month. So you know, that's their thing, right? They send a box out and, you know, it's usually like kind of like a cheaply made bong and some other things of knickknacks and, you know, basically all the accoutrement of weed. I personally am not interested in that type of subscription, right? But I did a little bit of work with Hemper a few years ago. The guys who work there are very cool. And they gave me this item, which is something that they sell, which I gotta say is the most ingenious thing ever, right? Now, when I leave the crib, right, I have a sequence. It's like wallet, keys, phone, weed, papers, right? Crutches, grinder. Oh, geez, tray. Like there's all this shit that comes with it. And it's a pain in the ass. You have to be basically carrying around a bag or whatever. And it's like, you have all this stuff, right? So these fucking guys invented something that is like, I've just had for years. Like, look, Bean and I are both guys who receive every fucking knickknack in weed world, from high-end vapes to low-end, you know, whatever.
I even get the occasional patty whack.
You know what's a patty whack? The doob tube. Remember doob tube guy? this guy invented the joint tube, and he was at the Cannabis Cup, like just going way back, right? And he was like his own mascot. But that thing was fucking useful. I still use things similar to doob tubes. But the thing I've got here today, and Bean, you've probably seen me with this thing because I go everywhere with it. It is my weed jar, okay? So I grab nugs from my various satchels of weed that lay around my house, right? And the good thing about this weed jar, it's like the thing snapped off, right? This, like, I've used it quite a bit, but it has a fucking grinder in the top of it, right? So this essentially changed my life. I've literally had this for like 5 years, right? I worked with them for like a couple months, and I got a whole bunch of weird random shit from them. But this thing really, also because it's a plastic grinder, and usually the wide plastic grinders, when you grind with them, they actually kind of just mill the weed in a way where it's not really ground. And then when you try to roll a joint, it's a crinkly joint because the pieces are chunky, right? I like a smooth motherfucking joint, man. I want that shit like, you know, to look like a Concord. You know what I'm saying? It looked like a cigarette. And this really allows me to do it. And then inside there's weed. And that's it. It's like, and look, I will say the thing about stoner intuition, right, is that like, this is a stoner idea. Those fuckers sat around at some point, someone was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. Shouldn't this be a thing, right? And it's changed my life. When I leave the crib, right, this is literally, I'm like, wallet, keys, phone, and I grab this thing. You can also fit a like Shorty's regular size pack of rolling papers in there and a pack of crutches. So it just like consolidates everything into one place. Now, here's the catch. I don't know if they still make these. I don't know if they still sell them. This is not a plug. Those guys are cool. I did some work with them a while ago. They gave me a lot of stuff that just, is like, I don't know, in the garbage or that I gave away somewhere. But this thing has stayed with me forever. It's green, so when I can't find it, it stands out on the couch or whatever. But, in my own Marie Kondo kind of way, I just want to say I'm thankful for this thing, especially this week. We know what we're thankful for in life. Sometimes we take things for granted, and this is something I've taken for granted a lot. So thank you, little weed too.
So you're saying that sparks joy when you look at it.
It sparks joy.
Well, then keep it.
Joy sparks it.
All right. Well, speaking of sparking joy, I think that's a great way out. Great catching up with you, my friend.
Yeah, good hanging, Bean.
And thank you once again to all of you who support us on Patreon.
Yay, yay.